A millionaire in disguise lives simply for a day. But what happened next changed everything. An unexpected encounter. It was a cold winter morning in Auckland, and James Morrison, a man accustomed to the luxury of penthouse suites and spotlight glamour, made a decision that would change everything. That day, he decided to leave without his usual security detail, without his designer clothes from international brands, without his black Range Rover. He just wanted to be an ordinary person. With a wool beanie pulled down over his eyes and a worn coat found in his beach house wardrobe, James walked through the streets of Ponsonby like he had never done before. His leather shoes, the only things he couldn't disguise, stepped on the wet pavement, while his heart beat fast for the first time in years. In front of him appeared a small neighborhood café. Kiwi Corner Cafe, with windows fogged from the warmth inside and a slightly faded sign. He hesitated for a moment, then pushed the glass door. The sound of the little bell welcomed him, along with the intense aroma of freshly ground coffee. A cup of coffee that changes everything. The warmth of the place wrapped around him like an embrace he hadn't received in a long time. James looked around: worn wooden tables, mismatched chairs, an old espresso machine that gurgled softly. Behind the counter, a young woman with brown hair tied in a messy ponytail cleaned cups with automatic movements, but her eyes smiled. "Good morning, how can I help you?" said Emma, looking up at that mysterious-looking man. James nodded, uncertain, his fingers trembling slightly. For the first time in 20 years, no one recognized him, no one treated him like the CEO of a property empire. "The coffee, please," he murmured, his voice more hoarse than usual. Emma noticed his hesitation. "Long black or flat white?" "We also have fresh lamingtons," she said with that natural kindness that James had forgotten existed. "Flat white, thanks," he whispered, leaning on the counter as if he wanted to root himself in that moment of normalcy. The secret hidden behind his eyes. While Emma prepared the coffee with expert movements, James observed every detail: her hands slightly roughened from work, his grandmother's ring she wore on her pinky, the way she bit her lower lip when concentrating. Behind his gentle smile and those simple clothes, James hid a secret that weighed like a boulder on his chest. He was James Morrison, one of New Zealand's richest men, owner of a luxury hotel chain from Wellington to Queenstown, majority shareholder in 3 publicly traded companies, owner of cars that cost more than what most people earned in 10 years. But today, sitting on that plastic chair in front of a chipped cup, he just wanted to be James, full stop. "Here's your coffee," said Emma, gently placing the cup in front of him. "Sugar?" "No, this is fine," he replied, bringing the cup to his lips. The taste was different from the coffee he drank in his glass tower in central Auckland. It was more authentic. "Is it good?" asked Emma, drying her hands on her apron. James closed his eyes for a moment. "It's perfect," he said, and for the first time in years, he truly meant it. A conversation that opens hearts. Emma leaned her elbows on the counter in that quiet morning moment. "I never see you here. Are you new to the area?" James smiled shyly. "Let's say that. I'm exploring different places than usual." "I understand," she said, pouring herself a glass of water. "Sometimes you need a change of scenery. I've been here forever though. This cafe has belonged to my family for 30 years. "And do you enjoy working here?" asked James, genuinely curious. Emma's smile faded slightly. "It's complicated," she admitted, looking out the window. "I have to work many shifts, sometimes at night too, to help my mum." James felt something tighten in his chest. "Your mother?" "She has cancer," said Emma quietly, her voice trembling imperceptibly. The treatments are expensive, and Dad passed away 3 years ago. The silence became heavy. James gripped the cup between his fingers, feeling the weight of that raw truth. But don't worry about me, Emma added quickly, returning to smile. We always manage, you just can't give up, right? In that moment, James saw something he had forgotten existed, true strength, not that of money or power, but that of the soul. A gesture worth more than gold. James stayed at the cafe for an hour, watching Emma run between tables, serving customers with infinite patience, cleaning, smiling, despite all the weight she carried on her shoulders. Every movement was full of dignity, every kind word to customers was authentic, not calculated. When he got up to leave, he took out his wallet, extracted a $50 note, folded it carefully, and left it under the cup. Emma, who was washing dishes, turned around. Wait. That's too much, sir. But James was already at the door. He turned for a moment. You deserve much more, Emma, much more than what life is giving you. And he left, leaving her with a fast-beating heart, and that note trembling between her fingers. Emma looked through the window at that mysterious man walking away, not knowing she had just met someone who could change her life forever. A discovery that changes everything. That afternoon, while Emma was closing the cafe, she turned on the small television in the corner for the regional news. James Morrison, property magnate, and among New Zealand's richest men, inaugurated today the new luxury hotel in central Auckland. Said the journalist. The image on the screen made her startle. But that is him, whispered Emma, bringing a hand to her mouth. The man in the worn coat, the one who had drunk coffee at her counter, the one who had left her $50, was James Morrison, a billionaire. Her legs gave way, she sat heavily on a chair, her heart beating wildly. Why did he come here? She asked herself aloud, still looking at the note she had kept in her apron pocket all day. It wasn't just generosity, there was something else, something she couldn't understand. That night, Emma couldn't sleep, thinking about those sad eyes, that shy smile, how he had drunk the coffee, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. The unexpected return. The next day, at exactly 10 o'clock, the cafe door opened again. But this time it wasn't the man in the worn coat. James Morrison entered dressed in a charcoal grey suit, pristine white shirt, gold cufflinks, and an elegance that filled the space. Behind him, a woman in a black suit, his personal assistant. Emma trembled while cleaning the same glass for the 5th time, her heart hammering in her chest. James slowly approached the counter, their eyes met. Good morning, Emma, he said with a gentle voice. Why didn't you tell me? She managed to whisper, her voice broken with emotion. James lowered his gaze. For a moment he seemed again the vulnerable man from the day before. Because I wanted to see who you really were, he said quietly. Not what you would have become knowing who I am. Emma felt tears rising. And what did you see? James smiled, that same shy smile. I saw the most authentic person I've ever met. A life-changing proposal. Emma. James began, his voice firm but gentle. I want to offer you something, but first you need to know it's not charity, it's an investment in you. She looked at him confused, still not believing all this was real. I need someone to manage the hospitality of my hotels, someone who truly understands what it means to care for people. You have that natural gift. But I'm just a barista, stammered Emma. You are much more. James interrupted. You are the person who made me feel at home, for the first time in years. You know how to make every person who enters here feel important. That can't be learned, either you have it, or you don't. The assistant opened a folder. The contract includes a starting salary of $5,500 per month, plus bonuses, with growth opportunities, and paid corporate training. Emma leaned against the counter, her knees giving way. I can't accept, it's too much. Your mother, said James gently. You could afford the best private treatments. You wouldn't have to work nights anymore, you could have a life. Tears began streaming down Emma's face, years of sacrifices, sleepless nights, worries it could all end. A courageous decision. Emma looked around the small café, the worn tables where she had served coffee for years, the espresso machine whose every sound she knew, the photos of her family hanging on the wall. This place is all I have, she whispered. And it will remain yours, said James. The contract allows you to keep it, actually. I can help you renovate it, make it become what you dream of. Emma dried her eyes with the back of her hand. Why are you doing all this for me? You don't even know me. James leaned slightly towards her. In one morning, you made me feel more human than I've felt in 20 years of business. You looked into my eyes, not at my bank account. You gave me something no one can buy. What? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Authenticity, he replied. And hope. Emma closed her eyes, breathed deeply, then looked at that hand extended towards her. I accept, she said, her voice trembling with emotion and determination. The beginning of a new story. 3 months later. Emma walked through the marble lobby of the Morrison Hotel, wearing an elegant suit, but maintaining that naturalness that had made her special. The guests adored her. Her way of welcoming people transformed every arrival into a memorable experience. James watched her from afar, while she arranged flowers in reception, speaking sweetly with an elderly couple of guests. It's incredible how much she's changed, said his assistant. No, replied James. She hasn't changed, she just allowed herself to shine. That evening, when the hotel emptied, James and Emma found themselves in the silent lobby. Do you miss the café? He asked. Sometimes, she admitted. But now I can help my mum, and the café has become even more beautiful, thanks to you. Thanks to us, James corrected. You taught me that true wealth isn't what you own, but what you share. They looked at each other in silence, two souls who had found each other in the most unexpected way. Emma, said James quietly. Yes? That first coffee you made me is still the best I've ever had. She smiled, that authentic smile that had conquered a billionaire's heart. Then, tomorrow morning, I'll make you another one. And while the city lights came on outside the windows, 2 different lives had found a meeting point, proving that sometimes miracles begin with a simple "Good morning, how can I help you?" The message that touches hearts. This story teaches us that kindness has no price, that looking into people's eyes can change everything, and that true wealth is knowing how to recognize the value of a pure soul. James didn't change Emma's life out of pity, but because he recognized in her something rare, authenticity, silent strength, the ability to love despite everything. And Emma didn't just get a job, she got the chance to be herself on a grand scale. Because sometimes it takes just a cup of coffee to change 2 lives forever. Have you ever chosen silence and found strength in it? Tell us your story in the comments below. You could inspire someone who needs hope today. If this story touched your heart, if you saw a part of yourself in it, or paused for a moment of quiet, please help us go further. A simple click like, share or subscribe does more than you think. It helps us keep telling real stories, quiet, dignified, and full of meaning. And if you want, leave a comment below. What story would you like to hear next? Thank you for listening and for being here. We give you our very best, because we know some stories change more than just a day. With warm thoughts, Luca Mackin.